Hello everyone, this is the Crimson Cure, welcoming you to the Crimson Tower, a place where we keep a feminine foot on the neck of the gynocracy, feminism, and black male misandry. So go ahead, pull up a chair, stay a while, and listen.
Hi everyone, how's everybody doing today? Hopefully you guys are doing okay. I'm just finishing up posting. I gotta post everywhere. I trust and believe I'll be trying to do my best to do this in the time it take my intro song to play, but I got more places to post now, so sometimes it just don't go that fast. Is everybody all right though? Hey Mogul, hey Elgene, hey Tom Malone. I just wanted to let a few people get in. Can you guys hear me? Just want to let a few people get in. Let's see, we got more likes than we got viewers. That's awesome. All right. So as per usual, just going to, let me scoot up a little bit, dive right into the topic. Are we raising our children or are we just maintaining them? And that's a question that I think really needs to be addressed in our community as it pertains to motherhood. Because a lot of times our thoughts about that, especially in this community, I don't know what happens in other communities, but it seems as if we think that maintaining children financially or physically is synonymous with raising them. And it is not. It's not the same thing. How many would agree that raising and maintaining are not the same thing? If you think raising and maintaining are not the same thing, put a 1. If you think that they are the same thing, put a 2. I know I'll have a whole lot of people, but I'm looking for a little bit of participation today. Just a little bit. And I know it's a little bit of a lag, but I'm looking for just some participation today. Let's see. So everybody says it's not the same thing. I'd actually like to hear some women chime in too. I don't know if I have a lot of ladies today. But raising your children and maintaining your children are not the same thing. But a lot of the women in our community actually think that it is the same thing. And the reason why we know this is because if you just throw a rock and hit one and ask her whether her children are being raised right, the first thing that she begins to point out, if it's true, if she has it, is what she's doing for the child in terms of physical things or financial things. My kid got the best shoes and clothes. He got all the latest electronics, phone, Xbox, PlayStation, whatever. You know, I get my son haircut all the time. I get my daughter's hair done all the time. They don't want for nothing. I have food in here. I got, they go this place and that place, and things like that. So if she's got a little bit of money, a little bit of financial means, and she actually spends that on her children, if you challenge her raising of them and the rearing of them, she will combat that by telling you what kind of things she actually does monetarily for her children. Hey, Grinch. She also places this type of standard on the father. So usually the father's not present in the home as a part of the family unit. But here's the thing. He'll be a deadbeat. Somebody type my Cash App in there for Grinch. He'll be a deadbeat to her if he doesn't spend a lot of money on the child, but he spends time and effort with the child. He won't be a deadbeat to her if he doesn't spend time with the child, but he spends money on the child. Right? We've seen this dynamic, haven't we? If the absentee father, and I'm saying absentee only in the sense that he doesn't live with them, if he spends money or if she can get the type of child support she thinks she deserves, she won't necessarily call him a deadbeat, even if he doesn't spend any time with the child. But if he spends time with the child, but she doesn't get the type of money that she thinks she deserves out of it, she'll call him a deadbeat anyway and say he's a bad father. Because in her eyes, maintaining the child is the same thing as raising the child. But we know that this is not true. So I challenge the mothers in our communities to take a look at what they think motherhood actually consists of. Because there's no possible way that children can be getting raised right in our communities and turn out the way that they do. Dysfunctional, incomplete adults. Because let's check out what motherhood actually is supposed to do. And people might say, oh, well, Crimson Cure, you've never had a child. I've never birthed a child, but I raised two. Everybody, if you've been with me long enough, you know that I raised my siblings as my own children from infancy. So I went through the whole entire stage. I went through the baby stage. I went through the toddler stage. I went through the grammar school stage. I went through the angsty teenager stage. And then I went to the empty nest stage where the children got grown and left my house. Right? So I understand what motherhood consists of. The only part of motherhood that I didn't experience was the full-term pregnancy and the birth. Which I'm not saying isn't important. I'm saying I did the hard work. I did the work. Okay? So I put in motherhood work. So I understand what it takes and the sacrifices that need to be made in order to produce healthy, and I'm talking about mentally and emotionally healthy children as adults and send them out into the world. Not as a problem, but as a solution. Because see, motherhood is about sacrificing for your children. But why are you sacrificing for your children? What's the outcome? The ideal outcome is that your children are better than you. They are a representation of what you have given the world as your legacy. See, the legacy isn't something you pass to your children. Your children are the legacy. You understand? So, for instance, my father's legacy isn't necessarily what he left to me or didn't leave to me in terms of monetary gains or possessions. I'm the thing he left behind in the world. I'm that thing. I'm the legacy he left here. I'm the thing he left behind to represent him. So your children are a manifestation of what you want the world to know about what you produced and put in the world. And we often reference legacies in terms of the fathers. And I don't necessarily say that children are the mother's legacy, but what they bring to the world, that is her legacy. That's what represents, because the mother is the first teacher of the child. The purpose, or the ideal purpose anyway, and the end goal of motherhood is to produce a functioning, healthy, mentally, emotionally, physically healthy adult that is capable and prepared to go out into this world, instilled with the principles that you and the father of that child have instilled and taught them all of their life, and the trust that they will enact what is good and what is right when they leave your home and when you are no longer an authority over them. But what we're doing now in our community is producing problems for other people to deal with. Children in adult bodies, underdeveloped minds, underdeveloped spirits, underdeveloped everything. We raising these kids up and they ain't got sense God gave a goat. Okay? Coddling them and giving them entitlement issues right along with abandonment issues. How you give a kid an entitlement and an abandonment issue? And then you don't give them the tools to work anything out. You're so busy trying to tell them what to do that you don't tell them how to do. You're so busy telling them what to think that you don't tell them how to think. You're so busy trying to make sure that they stay and remain under your foot and under your boot heel that you don't give your children, the males or the females, the proper tools that they need in order to go out into this world and be productive human beings and productive citizens and be a benefit to the people around them. Because you can't teach what you don't have. You can't instill what you're not. You're not a productive, functional human being. You're not a benefit to those around you. You're a whole detriment. You a whole subtraction problem. You subtract from the good, you add to the confusion, you multiply the dysfunction, and you divide the community. That's what you doing. That's what you doing. Hey, Father's Time. Thank you, Nas. So why did I need to hear this today? Thank you. You're welcome. You can't teach what you don't know. You don't know how to be a benefit to your family. You don't know how to be a benefit to the community and the people around you in any way, shape, form, or capacity. So you teach your children it's dysfunctional, and you think that if you maintain them, if you buy them Jordans, if you buy them the new PS5, if you get them the new Xbox, if you keep his hairline tight, if you keep her braids done, if you introduce bundles to her at 10 years old, you think you're doing something with your children. Talking about they well behaved. They well behaved because you beat them into submission. They scared of you. They don't respect you. They fear you. That's part of motherhood. The authority of the mother turns into the respect for the mother. If you've done your mothering duties properly, then the authority that you had over your children turn into respect. This is even so with the males. My son/brother outgrew my authority over him, but he maintained his respect for me. I could no longer order him around and tell him to do this and tell him to do that. But if I requested something of him, because I was a good mother to him, he would respect my request. When he first started smoking weed, he didn't think I knew he was smoking weed, right? Because teenagers always think they can hide that from you. And I didn't bust his bubble. I let him think I didn't know that he was smoking weed. He would try to have his little Visine and, get himself together before he came in. And even after he wasn't I think he started smoking weed his senior year in high school, if I'm not mistaken. And then after he graduated and stuff like that, he still, as a grown man, he would not smoke around me. He would try to act like he wasn't doing it. I knew he was doing it. I let him have his respect because I understood he was trying to respect me. Even though it was clear that I was his sister and not his mother, he still felt motherly. He still felt that I was his mother. And so he gave me the respect of a mother. Even though I had no authority over him anymore. He was a grown man. Right? But your children fear you. They fear the wrath of you. That's not respect, and it's not love. They loathe you and fear you. This is why the girls do what they do to get out of your house. This is why the boys start running the street at 15, 14, 15, 16. That's why he run the street. Because they can't stand the sight of you. Because you didn't raise them. You did not instill in them any principle that they could use that would benefit them in their life when you weren't around. All that they get from you is trauma, abuse, and some sort of embedded dysfunction that they got to try to figure out in their adult years how to cope with or how to work around. That's what they get from you. So you don't raise your children, you maintain them. Because see, raising your children isn't about what you buy them. It's about what you teach them. It's what you teach them about being a man or a woman as they come into their manhood or womanhood. It's about what you teach them about the world around them and how that works. And what they should be doing in it in order to succeed, in order to be in a better place than you are at your age, to give them a leg up, to give them something to stand on. You're supposed to allow your children to stand on your shoulders so they can reach higher than you. That's what you're supposed to do with your children. But you're so busy trying to be an authority figure and trying to be right, you always want them underfoot, whether they're adults or not. People think it's funny when an old mother tell her adult son or daughter, you ain't too big for me to put my hands on you. Like, that's so disrespectful. And people think that's funny. It's not funny. There's nothing funny about that. There's nothing funny about it. Hit the link. I'm on fire. Hit the link. Hit the Cash App and the Super Chat. You're not getting this content nowhere else. Don't even try to lie to yourself like you are, because you're not. Nobody's going to touch this stuff but me. So you need to thank your lucky stars. I'm not scared to touch it. You don't raise your children because they wouldn't be who they are if you did. You maintain them physically the best you can, and then you subdue them emotionally. You break them mentally. You break their spirit. You corrupt her femininity and you mute his masculinity. You do everything you can to muzzle him from being a man. And you corrupt the girl. And you do everything in your power to make her the man. Even in your older age, even when you know it's the wrong thing because you made a lifetime full of bad choices. But you will still set your children up for the same failure and the same pitfalls that you stepped into, that your mama taught you how to step into. And you don't even think enough of your children. You don't love them enough to say, I'll spare you from the pitfalls that I fell into because I was taught these things that didn't help me. So I'm not going to perpetuate that teaching. I'm going to break the generational curse. I'm going to break the cycles. You don't want to do that. You want to keep the cycle going. And you need to ask yourself why you want to keep these generational curses going. You need to ask yourself why you want to do that. You need to ask yourself, why don't I love my children enough to make them better than me? This is why generation after generation, our community doesn't get any better, because you won't break the generational curse. I was the one that had to break the curses. I had to break the curses of being on welfare for a lifetime. I never got on welfare. My daughter never got on welfare. I think she only had to be on get some stamps at one point for a very short time because she was like out of work. And it was extended. And she eventually just had to get a little bit. But as soon as she was able to not do that anymore, she didn't do that anymore. I think I got unemployment, in 2015? Something like that. I got laid off and it was like a couple of months. It was like 3 months and I went and got some unemployment, something like that. And then I went and got something else to do. So I broke the curse of us being a lifetime on welfare and Section 8. I broke the curse of trying to mute my son's masculinity and put him in the background and promote my daughter as masculine. I broke that curse. I broke the curses of trauma and abuse. And it was difficult to do. I needed to instill in my children something other than what they had received and what I had received. Now, it may not have been perfect. It may not have been perfect. But I did better than my foremothers. That I can guarantee. You don't raise your children, you maintain them. Buying them a new pair of J's ain't raising them, because you don't even know how to help him do his homework. You don't know how to help him do his homework. And I'm talking like 5th grade homework. You leave them to the wolves. Just fend for themselves. Just, you know how to do it. No, they don't. They don't know how to do it. That's why children need parents, because they don't know how to do it. You just expect some magical light switch to turn on, and all of a sudden they know how to be functional adults. You're not functional, so why would you think that you pass down something functional to your kids? You dysfunctional as all get out. And you proud of it. You think it's cute. Until some way, shape, or form it backfire on you. Then all of a sudden it's a tragedy. So we have to get out of this mindset that as long as I keep my kid in fresh gear and keep their hair done and keep them with the latest, iPhone and all of that, that's raising them right. You give them all of that, but that's nothing but compensation for the damage that you do to who they are. That's all that is. That's your guilt coming up because you know you ruining them kids for the rest of their life. So you guilty, so you bound something. That's all that is. You're not fooling anybody. You're not even fooling the kids after a certain point. Because a lot of time they get old enough and realize what you're doing. That's why they ungrateful for them gifts, because you do other stuff to them. So getting them that PS5 don't do nothing. Because every other day of the week, you ruin them. And they know that. They know you're a snake. They know you're a hyena. They know you're sacrificing them to the meat grinder. They know that. So you buying, you know what I'm saying, the newest, freshest, whatever. You buying Polo and Bathing Ape and this and that. That's why they ungrateful. Because what they really need, you won't give them. They need your emotional support and you emotionally unavailable. They need your encouraging words, but you so negative you can't think of an encouraging word to give your children. They need your love and affection, but you so cold and jaded you don't even have affection for them. They need you to understand where they're coming from and understand the people that they are. You don't even know your children. You don't even know your children. You don't know who they are as people, especially when they get older. You so busy telling them who they need to be that you don't learn who they are. You make no compromises to who they are as people. You don't tailor your mothering to their personality. To a certain degree, you have to. Because you have to do what works for the child so that it can work. But you don't know anything about that. You think buying them something covers up for all that bad mothering you doing. And then wonder why they get grown and a lot of times they don't mess with you. And then they have to find out how to work through all of that mess you gave them. All that baggage, how you got baggage straight out of the house. You supposed to be, as a young adult, you know what I'm saying? You supposed to be excited to live your life. You're not supposed to have baggage at 18, 19, or 20. You're not supposed to have that baggage. But your mama give you baggage. You give your kids baggage. You a whole bag lady, and then you hand them bags so that they can carry around baggage as they get grown. And you think it's cute. You think that make him a man to put all them burdens on him. You think that teaches her something about her womanhood to put all them burdens on her. You make her raise the rest of your kids and all this other kind of crazy stuff. And you the first one to think that when they get grown and make it, they supposed to immediately start taking care of you. You got everything backwards. You want your children to mother you, to give you the mothering you wouldn't give them. And only in our community they think that. They think they supposed to get that. They think if they son or daughter make it big and get rich and something like that, that they supposed to buy them a house. Did you buy me one? We grew up in a roach motel. And you mean to tell me when I get up and get grown and get a few dollars, I ain't even got to be a millionaire, just get a few dollars in spite of you. And then you mean to tell me I got to turn around and pay your bills, pay your rent, get your house, you better kick rocks. You can kiss my soda cracker and my accabaca. You maintain your children and then you want them to turn around and raise you. Ain't nobody got time to you raising no old folk. You old, you made your mistake. Ain't nobody trying to come behind you and raise you again and coddle you and take care of you and cuddle you and, oh, mama, I just love my mama. Ain't nobody got time for that. Y'all hyenas is the only one think somebody's supposed to do that. All them black mothers and stuff like that, sons is in the NBA or the NFL or the entertainers or something like that, and they got a little money. I always think they're supposed to buy them a house. No. You buy your own house. Where your husband at? Your husband was supposed to buy you a house. You don't have one, that is a personal problem. It's not my fault you 62 years old and ain't never been married. That's not my fault. No man ever thought nothing of you to give you a house. You didn't run into not a damn man that thought enough of you to say, baby, you come live in my house. And if I pass before you, I bequeath it to you and my kids and stuff. You a man didn't think enough of you for that. That's a personal problem. That's not my problem. That is your doing. Them your bad decisions. I don't have nothing to do with that. Now here I done got grown, try to make a couple of more better decisions than anything you taught me. And now I got to take my hard-earned, not only my hard-earned money, but my hard-earned sanity, emotional and mental health. And I got to take care of you. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Nobody's doing that with you. Nobody's playing that type of game with you. Nobody's doing that with you. You got it. You got everything twisted. You got motherhood twisted. You got everything twisted. But anyway, let me go ahead and read these super chats. Thank you. Force Windu said, where your heart is, there also where your treasures be. Thank you. Kweku Isasi, thank you. Akporasiri. Hopefully I didn't mess that up too bad. So too many black BWs take pride in emasculating their child, especially their sons, yelling, spanking their child in public places and brag about it on social media. And thank you to Nas, I think that's Nas, for the cash out, Ruminant for the cash out, Mogul, and Grinch. Oh, thank you, Grinch, for the cash apps. Greatly appreciated. So here's what I want you to do. If you enjoyed today's show, which I know that you did, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you are notified when I go live or drop new content. Also, go into the description box and please support our sponsor who so graciously supports this channel, A-Game, by hitting the link at agameherbal.com. Go ahead and get your 10% discount by using the code Kendra10 on your next A-Game purchase. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I will catch you guys on the next one.